and I am going to introduce you all to the incredible women of Angama. We're going to start with Kate Boyd, who is the Chief Marketing Officer for the lodges, and we've got Anne Chege, who is Head of Sales. I just returned from a visit, so if any of you all have any questions for me after, feel free to give me a call or shoot me an email, and I'm happy to talk forever and ever about these incredible properties. In the meantime, I'll go ahead and give it to the Angama team to introduce us to these fabulous properties.
Thanks, Denise. Let me start sharing my screen. I so badly want to say good morning to everybody, but just so that you are aware, it is 9 p.m. at night in Nairobi. So good morning, good afternoon, and good night wherever you are in the world. As Denise very kindly introduced us, I'm Kate. Anne is my wonderful colleague of 10 years. We've both been with Angama since the day it opened, and we are thrilled to be speaking to you today and obviously to be part of the Biggeri+Universe family for the first time. Please forgive me. I do not know who is all on this call. It looks like we've got a nice group of participants. So I don't know if you've been to Africa, been to Kenya, or been to Angama. Linda, I saw your name pop up there. Hello. It's lovely to see you all in the background somewhere. So I will introduce Angama as if I'm talking to people who know nothing about us, nothing about where we are, who we are, and what we do. So if you've been, please forgive me, but it's just easier to keep it that way. So really, Angama is a very small group of safari lodges in Kenya, and what we believe differentiates us from the very, very beautiful and very experienced safari lodges that operate near us, around us, throughout Africa is we are guest crazy. We truly believe that your guest is coming to us for the holiday of a lifetime and for us to delight them. And then thereafter, we are able to make a difference. And how we look after our guests is really a one-size-fits-one hospitality philosophy. What is luxury? Our buildings are beautiful, our locations are gorgeous, but luxury to me is very different to luxury to Anne or luxury to Leo. So what we try to do is work really closely with our global partners to understand who their client is and really tailor the guest experience to who they are. And that is through the attention to detail, but also through a lot of fun. As I am known in the industry, and Angama is known, we take what we do very, very seriously. We don't take ourselves very seriously. We're only 10 years old, and I'll get into more of the history of the brand and the history of Angama as we go along. But we are a young company. We love to have fun. We love to delight our guests. And through that, we're able to make a meaningful difference. So really, where are we in the world and what have we pinned our brand around is celebrating a sense of place and people in Kenya. For those of you who don't know where Kenya is, I'm going to jump ahead very quickly. We are in East Africa here. It is a very beautiful equatorial part of Africa, easily accessed from the US, from Mexico, either via Europe, England, the Middle East, or there's even direct flights from JFK. So we are right on the east coast of Africa and in part of what we believe, Anne and I, to be the most beautiful country. So Angama has 3 properties. Our flagship lodge is Angama Mara. It's 10 years old. It sits 1,000 feet above the Maasai Mara in Kenya, and it is on the edge of the Great Rift Valley. We then opened on the 14th of February. I will never forget the date, 2020. That's why I will never forget the date. Angama Safari Camp, which is our very teeny tiny mobile safari camp. It's either up on the escarpment in standard season or during the migration season. It is right in the heart of the mega herds of the wildebeest migration. It is only 4 rooms, whereas Angama Mara is 2 camps, completely separate, of 15 rooms and 15 rooms, but each has its own guest area, its own dining area, completely separate. And then 2 years ago, we opened Angama Amboseli, which is right at the foot of Mount Kilimanjaro, which is obviously the biggest peak in Africa. And for us, that is what we pinned Angama's brand around, is location. The most beautiful locations that we could find in Kenya. Looking down over the Mara, looking up at that incredible mountain, and looking out over the mega herds of the migration. So those are our 3 properties that we're going to cover today. How your clients access once they are in country. Nairobi is your main port of entry into East Africa, the whole of East Africa, and that includes Tanzania, Uganda, Rwanda. Nairobi is where they come into. And then Angama Amboseli and Angama Mara, the Maasai Mara and Amboseli, are both equidistant, a 45-minute flight from Nairobi, either down to Angama Amboseli or across to Angama Mara. And then there are both scheduled and charter flights between the 2 as well, linking them. So it's a lovely little triangle celebrating 2 of the most iconic destinations in Kenya. Obviously, the Mara, known for the Great Wildebeest Migration, and Amboseli, known for Kilimanjaro and the Super Tusker elephants. So what also sets Angama apart is our team at the lodges looking after your clients are 100% Kenyan. And Kenyans, Anne and I are so lucky to work in this incredible industry, have looking after guests deep within their DNA. I think it was Condé Nast Traveler came out last week or 2 weeks ago, voting Kenya the friendliest country in the world. So, I mean, if the magazines say it, it must be true, right? But our team is just full of joy. They love our guests. They spoil our guests. And we've got 2 female guides, 2 female Maasai guides, both of which are in senior positions. This is Alice. She's our head guide at Amboseli. And it's really just there's that age-old saying of guests come to Africa for the animals and they come back for the people. And I'm sure those of you who are on this phone call or on this call tonight, this morning, will attest to that fact. Is there is nowhere in the world like Africa and the people who call it home. So as I said in the beginning, kind of the North Star of Angama is to delight our guests, is to make them have the most wonderful holiday. And then through that, by having a wonderfully happy, empowered team, we are able to make a difference. And it really is that simple. We don't believe, for the most part, that your clients are coming to Africa to save the animals. They're coming to Africa to save their sanity or their relationship with their children or whatever it is that they need saving. It's their holiday. But quietly in the background, we are doing amazing work through the Angama Foundation. We also want to show our guests a sense of place, and we interpret the world around them. They've chosen to come to Africa. They haven't over Dubai, over Tanzania, over the Galapagos, wherever you could have sent them. There is a very, very special gratitude from our team to say, please, can I show you our world? And that's through sharing culture, how local crafts, and also, of course, out on safari. We also love to feed our guests. Those who've been on safari before know that you're either on a vehicle or you're at a table. We keep it very simple at Angama. There are no foams, no gels, no smears. Our chef team is all Kenyan, all local, but keeping it simple means we can't hide anything. We can't hide behind the smoke and mirrors and the foam and gels. So we serve simple, beautiful food in the most memorable locations, high up above the Great Rift Valley or out in a forest somewhere lit by 50 lanterns. And all our ingredients are locally grown and preferably close to our lodges as well. So we buy as local as possible. And then through delighting our guests, through filling their tummies and interpreting the world around them, as I've mentioned, we look after our neighbors. The Angama Foundation has 3 pillars. It's education, healthcare, and conservation. And how we go about this is through micro donations and scalable projects. So every single guest, every night, contributes $20 to the Angama Foundation. And once the guests are on property, if they would like to visit our clinic, we have a clinic at Angama Mara, or if they would like to visit a school, or if they would like to understand more about our conservation partners and who we work with and the work that we're doing, there are a plethora of people who are willing to tell the story about what a difference and meaningful difference your clients coming to Angama, to Kenya, has made in their lives and impacted their communities. And both lodges, with Angama Safari Camp being a mobile camp and kind of a split off from Angama Mara, 70% of our staff at both lodges are hired from the local communities. And the other 30% is really based around the grasp of the English language. So they come from elsewhere in Kenya as well as the local communities. But as Denise will know, having just been to Angama Amboseli, one of our top butlers there, 2 years ago, he was selling cell phones in the local town. So it's just the most remarkable story about how we've tried to empower and uplift the communities around us. And then obviously very, very aware that while they are coming back to Africa for the people, guests come to us for the wildlife for the first time. And there is no wildlife without conservation and with our conservation partners. So Angama does all we can to support that. So once you come into the Mara, we're going to go to the Maasai Mara first. Angama Mara sits high up in the northern part of what is known as the Mara Triangle, which is split off from the Greater Mara National Park by the Mara River, which is known for those wonderful migration crossings. I always say the Mara Triangle is kind of like the Chanel game viewing of the Maasai Mara. There are only 11 lodges in the Mara Triangle. On the other side of the Mara River, in migration season, there can be upwards of 100 lodges and camps. So it's harder to get to. That's why all our guests fly in to Angama Mara. And it does mean that there are less vehicles at sightings, and it's a very cruisy experience. And for those of you who have been to Southern Africa, you will know that it is dense bushveld, it's dense trees. Here in East Africa, it's open grass plains, so you don't have to work terribly hard for your wildlife. And the viewing in the Mara year-round is absolutely incredible. We have got the Great Migration, as you can see here, but there is the Big Five. I don't know if everybody knows what the Big Five is. Lion, leopard, elephant, buffalo, and rhino. The Big Five are in the Mara year-round. There is no bad day. Even in the rainy season, I want to just explain the rainy season. It is afternoon thunder showers. It comes in for about 2 hours and then it goes away again. So no guest has ever stayed at Angama in the 10 years that I've worked at Angama and not been able to go out on safari for a period of time on any given day. So it really is the most beautiful wildlife experience and very, very gentle and just slam dunk animals. It's like, as I said, Chanel game viewing. So within the Mara Triangle, you go out on safari. We tailor make your safari days completely to when you want to go out. And that is because our guests have a beautiful flow from up on the escarpment from Angama Mara down into the Mara whenever they want to go. So Angama Mara, as I mentioned, is our flagship. We opened the lodge 10 years ago. It's been a wild ride. My parents and I founded the business and joined very shortly after, and we have grown within the company together. My parents, while this was their kind of swan song, and there's Amboseli being really the last one, my parents used to work in a very large safari company called CC Africa. For those of you who don't know, it is now known as And Beyond. So while Angama Mara was their only lodge for a while before Amboseli came along, it's actually number 62. So a lot of learning, a lot of history, a lot of understanding who our guests are, what the guest's journey is, when they want to reach for a Kleenex, is there a Kleenex there? Having made every mistake, learned all the lessons over 40 years in the industry, this was the child that they decided to retire on. And my father waited for 15 years for this location, which is just absolutely breathtaking. I've never actually been to Montana, just to fully be transparent, but I imagine big sky country Montana is what Angama Mara feels like to me, which you walk out onto those decks and there's just so much air in front of you, you can't help but breathe. It's that kind of a place, and it just slows you down, and it just makes you so aware of how small you are in the grand scheme of this crazy world that we live in. So what makes Angama beautiful and very special is, yes, absolutely the location, the view. Everybody's like, the view, the view, the view. Yes, it's the view. Yes, it's also a very sexy design. It's a lot more modern. It's bright red. We're in the heart of Maasai land. It screams Maasai, but it is being all of that offset by the most wonderful team. And if you are ever in Kenya, or if we're ever somewhere in the world where you are, over a glass of wine or a gin and tonic, Anne and I will tell you stories about the wonderful team who look after our guests all the time, and how once upon a time the laundry loved their guests so much that they were so worried that their ripped jeans were ripped that they darned them. Meanwhile, they were designer ripped jeans. So that's the kind of extra mile our staff went to. Those were in the early days of Angama, but they really, really do make the guests stay. And so many of our guests cry when they leave. So Angama's tents, this is what an Angama Mara tent looks like. It's got 33 feet of glass across the front. Canvas walls, canvas roof, so you can still smell the rain, hear the lions roaring, but you're behind solid glass. And we always actually encourage our guests to sleep with their blinds raised, because in the mornings you wake up to the hot air balloons floating by at eye level, and they float by like electric jellyfish in the morning, and it's just the most gentle start to the day. You can sit out on those red rocking chairs and go on a rocking chair safari with the binoculars and just see what the world is waking up to. There is no pressure like in Southern Africa, where you have to get up early, go out, come back for breakfast. A lot of our guests will take a picnic breakfast and a picnic lunch and drive for the whole day down to the Tanzanian border and see what they can find, because being equatorial, the temperature is moderate throughout the entire day, which actually means that the wildlife move throughout the day. So there is always something to see at Angama Mara. So over and above going on safari, what else can your clients do? This is the problem with Angama Mara. There's probably too much to do. There is a heap to do. We celebrate Maasai culture as much as possible. We want to bring Maasai land into Angama Mara, giving Angama a sense of place. Otherwise, it would just be a really weird red lodge somewhere in Africa that's trying to be different. But it is so obviously Maasai that it's what, cheeky and delightful. And as such, we bring Maasai land into our four walls. Ballooning, I mentioned before, we do not operate the balloons. We have a fantastic partner called Governor's Balloon Safaris that do beautiful balloon flights over the Mara River. Those of you on the call who have watched Out of Africa, the movie, 41 years ago, the movie was actually filmed on our property. We were not there. Nothing was there, and Sidney Pollack needed something that looked like the Ngong Hills. He found the location where Angama is today. And so while Angama is a much more modern aesthetic, very pared down, very celebrating the color of Africa, not so much the beiges and the khakis and the olive greens, but the Maasai and the beadwork and even Africa is moving into a modern time, if you can believe it. So we celebrate that much more at Angama, but we do have the hill where the picnic took place in the Out of Africa movie. And there we have this very, very romantic experience. We also have a 1-acre vegetable garden on our property where we do garden to fork lunches. Denise's favorite experience, mine too. You arrive, everything is, you pick your own salad. On the table is beautiful bread, cheese, salads, roasted root vegetable salads, glass of rosé, looking out over the Mara below, and you just while the hours away. Walking safaris, much more interpretive of fauna, flora, and Maasai culture, medicinal values of plants, but very, very informative. And again, very much bringing the heritage of the people that call Angama home within the lodge. On top of that, Kenyans are known as the best runners in the world, long distance. So if you're up for it, or if you've got clients who are training for the New York Marathon or the London Marathon or whichever marathon they want to do, instead of just banging their way out on a treadmill with a gorgeous view as well, you can actually go running with a Kenyan, running with a Maasai up on the escarpment for however long you want to. It is very high altitude, so all the kind of young honeymooning stockbroker fit young strapping men who go running with Maasai in the Mara are just wiped out by our team, because these Maasai were born to run, and they're running backwards talking to our guests while our guests are like but that is just, you know, from DNA and how you come about it. Other things guests can do while they're staying at Angama Mara, we have a photographic studio. Our guests are out on safari for up to 9 hours a day. And when you're out on safari, you're taking photographs. So instead of lugging your big camera equipment from America, you can actually hire camera kits, big lenses, big bodies. You can learn how to edit your photography. We do wonderful photo shoots as well if you want to. We teach our guests how to use their cameras. There is a wonderful little tutorial called Take Your Camera Off of Automatic. 10 years later, I am still on automatic, so no judgment to anybody who's on automatic. And then we've got a beading studio off of our lovely safari shop, which is done for bespoke beading. So I could take my shirt in tonight and get the collar beaded if I wanted to, or get a bracelet with my daughter's name beaded into it, something to take back home. So again, empowering women from our communities to kind of upskill and uplift. So when it comes to families, as I mentioned, well, sort of mentioned, I'm a mum. We know that with families, if the children are happy, mum is happy. If mum is happy, generally dad is happy. So when we have families to look after, it's all about the totos. We call them totos in East Africa. We've got interconnected tents. We know how to keep our little guests busy and delighted and entertained. I mentioned photo shoots earlier, beautiful kind of professional memories that you can take, that your clients can take home, but also exposing young minds to different ways in the world is absolutely incredible. I watch my little girl going from Maasai land to Paris in the space of 2 months, and just for her little brain to understand that not everything is like her world is so, so special. And also to instill an appreciation and an understanding of the importance of nature and conservation is obviously incredibly important. So we love children. There is no minimum age at any of our camps, any of our lodges. We welcome children. We look after them. We also try very hard, if the parents are willing, to give the parents some downtime, go and have a siesta, go to the Out of Africa Kopi, go and have a romantic picnic, fall in love with each other again, and we're going to keep your little ones busy. We also do, because we have the two camps of 15 and 15, they are identical twins. I didn't mention that. We do have wonderful ability to look after multi-generational holidays, weddings, that kind of thing. So we do have the capacity and the scale to go a little bigger for special events, especially milestone birthdays as well. So that's Angama Mara in a very brief nutshell. I can wax lyrical about my firstborn for days, but I'm under strict instruction, and it's the end of a long day in Kenya to keep it short and sweet. So I'm going to move on to Angama Safari Camp and our little light footprint tented camp that sits in the heart of the Mara Triangle. It is very much the little sister to Angama Mara. Same pops of red, same modern design. It's only 4 tents, as I mentioned before. We can take triples. It does move throughout the migration, so it follows the megahertz. And here again, the tent is flipped landscape onto the view like Angama Mara, so that wherever you are, be it in the loo, we call it the loo in East Africa, or in the bathroom or in the bedroom, you're looking out over those open plains onto the migration, all the elephants roaming by, all the lions roaming by, whatever happens to be in the neighborhood. But if I'm completely honest with you, we had no idea what we were doing when we designed a mobile camp. She's completely impractical, completely top heavy, completely gorgeous, and very, very lovely to stay in. And we try and explain to guests that this is a lot more about the safari experience. There is not great Wi-Fi connectivity. There is Wi-Fi connectivity, but it's not fantastic for a reason, because this really is lying in bed with a cup of coffee and just watching the world wake up around you. Very simple, very lovely, even more pared down and laid back than Angama Mara is, because obviously she has to move around. But what this little camp does afford in the migration season is you are able to depart on safari earlier than anybody staying outside of the national park. Even Angama Mara is outside of the national park. We have a short drive in. You're in the heart of the park, so you get pole position at the river crossings. You catch that morning light for photography, and it's a really, really wonderful and very, very special experience. The last born, Angama Amboseli, which is now quite a departure from the bright red and blue and vibrant Angama Mara, is in Amboseli, everything is big. The mountain is big. The fever trees are big. The Super Tusker elephants are bigger than big. So we needed something to stand up to all the big. And so we built Angama Amboseli, which is right down here in a private conservancy called Kimana Sanctuary. And then we access Amboseli National Park through a corridor road that takes about 40 minutes to get to the national park. But here we do have private land, and this is Kimana Sanctuary, and it is beautiful. We were one of the first movers in our kind of higher end of the market in the Amboseli area. And as such, we started a conversation during COVID with a conservation partner called the Big Life Foundation. And they said to my mother and to myself, we would love to prove a model. And I can't get too much into the conservation story because Denise will shout at me, or Leo will shout at me, or Anne will shout at me. But the conservation story in Amboseli is absolutely incredible. And the model that we're trying to prove of high-end hospitality with high impact conservation, proving to local community members that it is more profitable than turning your land into agricultural pastures, namely tomatoes, because of the high water table that runs off of Kilimanjaro, is more lucrative for those families and those farmers. And the model is working. And more than that, the conservation story is incredible because for the first time in 20 years, this conservancy has a resident pride of lions since Angama Amboseli opened, and the wildlife is coming back, and it's just absolutely magical. So without further ado, the guest suites, there are 10 of them at Angama Amboseli. They are solid, they are concrete and a mixture of elephant poo, if I'm honest with you. And that's because everything is about the elephants at Angama Amboseli. And here again, it is a much more modern aesthetic, pared down again, very much the Angama style, pops of color taken from the fever tree forests, that chartreuse, the ochre, that rusty red from the ground, and then it is very handsome. If Angama Mara is sexy, Angama Amboseli is very handsome and a lot more monochromatic, a lot more cool, and that is because it can get hot in Amboseli, but you also, every single suite has a view. And that, as I said right at the beginning, everything is location, location, location for Angama. So every single suite looks onto Kilimanjaro. You wake up and that shy mountain just plays with you all day long. Sometimes she shows a shoulder, sometimes she bats an eye, sometimes she drops her whole kimono. You just never know what she's going to do, and it's very exciting. Well, I find it exciting after 2 years. The guest area is open to the elements. The blinds do drop down, obviously, in inclement weather, but it is sweet. It is quite lightweight. But here again, we celebrate the culture and the colors of where we are, giving it a sense of place. And that chartreuse, as I mentioned before, is a very prominent pop of color throughout Angama Amboseli. This pretty much sums up the whole of the Amboseli experience in one picture. The pool is lovely for our guests. It's lovelier for elephants. They love to drink from the trough below, and our guests just have the most wonderful time waiting to see if the elephants will drink while they're swimming. So here again, the question, what else can your clients do over and above going on safari on Kimana Sanctuary, which is our property? This is called the Menara. This is a raised tower. It is above the tree line and it looks up onto the mountain. And here it is either yoga in the morning or sundowners in the evening. Last week, I think it was, Anne, or 2 weeks ago, we had our first proposal. It was extraordinarily beautiful. I mean, wow. We have a set of galleries here, sorry, a set of studios where we've got a shop, a playroom for our little totos, we've got a gallery, we've got a photographic studio again, and where Angama Mara has a beading studio, Angama Amboseli has a weaving studio. You can also go on a full-day safari into Amboseli National Park, which is water-based. Fake news behind me is the flamingos of Amboseli. I'm not actually in Amboseli, I'm in Nairobi. But so Amboseli is Kenya's answer, shame, to the Delta. It is a water-based safari in certain areas. We also do walking safaris, and then, of course, this is what everybody wants to see when they come to Amboseli, and those are the Super Tuskers. This is Craig. He's the biggest elephant in the world. I think, Denise, you saw him, if I'm not mistaken. I think you did. Yes, you did. Yeah. And he is a gentle, gentle giant in the truest sense of the word. So here again, there are very similar anchor points between the two properties: weaving studio, beading studio, photographic studio. Where we have the Out of Africa Hill, we've got the Manara animal viewing tower, where we've got, I'm trying to think, the forest barbecue. We've got pizzas in the tortillas forest, which will come in the next slide. So here again, Amboseli is even better for families, if I'm honest with you. And I say that because center picture are my two little ones. Yes, we exploit my children for marketing purposes. But it is so wonderful because you're in a private sanctuary. You can go out on safari, and if the wheels come off, not of the car, but of the child, you can just turn around and go back quickly. And that's what makes Angama Amboseli so lovely for children. It is a playground. And on top of that, we've got a playroom. We've got the wonderful pool. We do something called a pajama safari at Angama Amboseli, where, because the mountain is best in the morning, don't get dressed. Just roll out of bed in your PJs, go on safari. We play Toto, or for Roberto, when he comes, we're going to play Jerusalema. And you dance around in your pajamas in the shadow of Kilimanjaro, and you just have the best time. And you go back to the lodge and you start your day. But life's about having fun. And we've also got very cool Amboseli pajamas. So here again, we've got field games that the families can play: cricket, croquet, mini football. I mentioned pizzas in the tortillas forest, where our little guests can get involved, but also grown-up guests absolutely love. And here again, the food philosophy: keep it simple, keep it fresh, keep it local, and we can't really go wrong. So that is it, I think. I hope I've done it in the right amount of time. But it's been lovely to talk to everybody, even though I can't really see anybody. And if there are any questions, I will gladly answer them, or
You did a beautiful job, Kate. Thank you so much. Miss Ann has been answering questions in the chat as they have appeared. So if anybody wants to take a look and see, there is the last question from Miss Linda. Is the altitude a problem like at the crater?
No. So we are 1,000 feet. So where we are 1,000 feet above the Maasai Mara, the crater is 3,000, I think. It's much, much higher, the crater.
And she also wants to know if the kids go on game drives.
Yes, so if children are under 6, there is an obligatory private vehicle, need to book a private vehicle. So we do welcome, in our standard season, outside of migration season, the first 2 children under 17 years old stay for free. But if there is an under 6-year-old, we do require that a private vehicle is booked, and in standard season, that is $400 per day.
Wonderful. Deanna is asking if you can give her an idea of the average per person per day costs.
Sure, absolutely. So Deanna, in Angama Mara in 2025, Anne will know better for 2026. Standard season is $1,775 per adult per day. Amboseli year round is $1,775, and then Angama Mara in peak season goes to 2,600, if I'm not mistaken, Anne. Yeah.
She's shaking her head, yes.
Yes, 2650. 2650, yeah.
2650.
Robbie wants to share that this is one of the one of the best, most informative webinars I've ever seen, especially from Kenya. So thank you. And we have Linda crying because she needs to go
Asante
back.
sana.
Richard asked about
Oh,
the activities and what's included, and Miss Ann responded already that all activities mentioned are included in the rate except for the balloon safari, the community visit, and the photography and massage. The photography studio is spectacular, and the fact that you can rent the camera and the lenses while on property really does save a ton of space in your suitcase and your backpack. Your shoulders won't kill by the time you land, which is nice. Linda has a question of whether you should stay at all three properties.
yes, Linda, definitely stay at all three properties. And also, we do have combination offers. So if you stay at two properties, there is an extra 5% commission, whether you book through an inbound partner, an on-site, or however you'd like to book. If you stay at all three, it's an additional 10. So we do it's a phenomenal journey, and I know that Biggeri will be planning a fam trip at some stage. So keep your eyes out, and Anne will, or I, but you want to hope for Anne will be your hostess.
And I can answer, I think, Linda's question about how many can share a room. Is it a max of three? Am I
Maximum
right
of
on that?
3. Yeah, maximum of 3. And Linda, we make and break a rule every 5 seconds at Angama Mara, or at Angama, but at Angama Mara, because yes, it's 12 and under can triple, but if you've got 3 teenagers, the littlest one is on the rollaway bed, whoever that might be. It might be the 17-year-old sister to a 15-year-old hunky football player. I don't know, but so it really is. We try really hard not to nickel and dime the booking process, our guests, our partners. We really want to share Angama, welcome our guests, make them feel great. If they leave late on the final day, if we can extend their suites, we do. We don't charge for the last lunch. It's not that kind of place, but we try not to turn our beautiful rooms into a dormitory and have 4 people, unless there's a baby. If there's a baby and we can do a crib and a rollaway, we can do that. But for proper beds, it gets a little crowded in there.
And the family tents that adjoin have a walkway between the two units, which is amazing. At Amboseli, I feel like the kids could sleep in that walkway. It's so large. I thought those were so fantastic. Lots of light. We do have a couple of more things. Sue just wanted to say, Kate, your mom, Nikki, is a legend, and I'm sure she's extremely proud of you. We all agree. Bravi wants to know, just sent a family to the new Ritz-Carlton Safari Park. How would you compare your camps? First of all, the view, gotta say.
Ravi, full disclosure, I've not been to the Ritz-Carlton. It's just opened. I think as Denise says, our view is beautiful. Our team, I won't say our lodge is the best, but I will say my team is
I'll
the
say
best.
it. I'll say it for you.
But I'm sure there's a guest for everybody. There's a lodge for everybody. Price point wise, we're very similar. We are much smaller. Anne and I have our hands wrapped around our trade partners, their clients, our guests. I look after kind of sales, marketing, and the guest experience, lodge operations on property. And because my marketing and sales team are that tight with the operations team, everybody knows exactly what's happening. So I don't know the bigger corporate side. I know that we are a two-bit safari company, probably punching way above our weight, but we're scrappy like that, so it's okay.
Is there a single supplement?
There is no single supplement in our standard season. There is a single supplement during our busy peak season, which is June to the end of October, and then what we call the 12 days of Christmas.
Excellent. And Vanessa wants to know if there are any travel agent fams. It's always an important question.
So Vanessa, there are travel agent fams, and I'm sure Biggeri will be organizing one in 2026. I'm not sure if dates have been set yet. That's really Anne's wheelhouse. But if you are coming to Kenya, please let Anne and I know. Anne will put our email addresses in the chat so that you've got it. If you're coming, if you're in our neighborhood, let us know. Come and stay. We offer really, really great fam rates. And yeah, we've welcomed thousands upon thousands of partners, and we really do understand that experiencing it makes it so much more real. But I think also it may have been Denise who said to me, Kate, no picture does it justice. So
Not
if
one.
you think if you think about it, please come and stay for that reason.
You can't feel the warmth of your staff, your people on site at both properties, the guides, the drivers, you name it, everyone is so lovely. And I know we're running a little bit late. There was one, Robbie again, he's asking if there what the best season to visit, and then we'll go ahead and have Roberto post the question. And again, whoever answers it correctly, the very first one to respond correctly will win a 2-night stay in Amboseli. So if you can let us know.
Are you all ready?
No, let Kate just respond about the best season to visit.
Okay, well, the best season really is, what do your clients want to see? If they want to see the migration slam dunk time is August. If it's early, if it's late, they'll always be in the Mara in August. And by early and late, they follow the rain. So if the rain is early, the migration comes behind it. If the rain is late, it lags behind it. But August is really a slam dunk, but that means that August inventory Mara-wide is under a crunch period. And because the whole of the East African circuit revolves around the migration, including Rwandan guerrilla permits, northern Kenya, Kenyan coast, Tanzania, everything is around that. That is the busiest time, but also the most exciting time, if that's your thing. I'm privileged enough to have seen it. Don't need to see it again. It's quite something. The loveliest time to come to the Mara and to Amboseli, if I'm honest with you, is January, February. June is also a lovely month to come. October is another lovely month to come. And the Christmas period is also really, really fab. So
okay, we gotta go because we are running out of time. I'm gonna write the question right now. The first one to answer will win 2 nights at this beautiful property. 1, 2, 3. Let's see who's been listening. Whoa!
Oh, wow. How did you have that so quick, Lisa? I am
wonderful.
That was like a ninja.
She was a ninja. I love it.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Anne and Kate. Your property is incredible. I'm excited for everyone to eventually come and see the property, experience your people for themselves. Thank you for your time. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. This will be recorded and posted on our website, To Live There in Infinity. So if you have advisors that missed this and want to hear all about Angama and the magic that they offer your clients, please refer them to our website. Anne and Kate, again, thank you so much, and everyone have a wonderful week.
Thank you very much. Thank you.